All right. Good morning to our listeners, which is weird to say. I'm Rocky, and welcome to another episode of the Ultimate Fantasy Locker Room. My co-host here is tired.
But it's
Been a morning.
Wonderful Monday.
Yeah, we're talking
Wonderful
football.
Monday
So.
in Giants country. And
Yeah.
I'm Phil, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you for the intro.
Yeah, we're going to go right into the games because there's a lot to cover, a lot of good stuff. And, there's some games we won't be able to get to until later on this week because we've got the Steelers, Washington, Bills, 49ers, games that are yet to be played, and the Cowboys, Ravens that are playing tonight. So,
Yeah.
Are they all playing? When?
There's two games today. There's a game at 5.
Yeah, Washington, Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a game at 8:15, the Bills, 49ers. And then the Ravens, Cowboys play Tuesday night.
Yes.
So, it's kind of cool. Last week we got Wednesday night or Wednesday afternoon football. So now we got Monday night, Tuesday night. I think there's a Thursday game.
It'd be pretty cool if they just started. They're not going to, but it would be nice to have a game every day of the week.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go right to America's team, the team everybody wants to talk about. It's the Cleveland Browns. I rubbed the elf. I tell you what, real quick, we saw something from the Browns. They're starting to make me a believer, and I'm a pretty deep skeptic because I've followed them for my whole life, watched them lose. They had a near perfect half of football. Baker Mayfield looked like the real deal. And then they held on for the win. Tennessee got a couple cheap touchdowns toward the end to make it look closer, but it was really a 41-28 game. So what were your thoughts?
Well, shock. We did pick the Browns to cover.
We did, yeah.
I wasn't sure if they'd win, but yeah, just catching it on red zone. Pretty surprised at the score, especially at the end of the half. And, I guess it makes sense that Tennessee rallied back. They're a good team.
Yep.
But, yeah, they're contenders for sure. I think that was a signature win. But what does it mean going forward for these guys and your fantasy team in the playoffs? Can you count on Mayfield to output like this? Probably not, but can you get somewhere in the middle?
Yeah. I think so a couple things I noticed, and these are real important to me. As a football guy, as a guy who's been watching football my whole life, I know, Phil, you're the same way. I'm constantly analyzing plays because what I'm looking for is less like everybody in the NFL is a talent. Like they're not there by accident. What I'm looking for is scheming. So a lot of times great coaches put good players into great situations. And so going forward, I'm a believer in Stefanski and Joe Wood. Joe Wood had 5-man defensive fronts all game. We had not seen that out of the Browns the entire season, and he saw something, and it worked. And Stefanski has finally taken off all the reins to his offense. And if you think about it, the Browns would have gotten 4 games like everybody else in the preseason to work out the kinks. They didn't get that.
Yeah.
And so we're starting to see some teams put their whole offense in, and we're starting to see what an offense looks like for the Browns. The teams that started the season hot, I think, were teams that had less turnover, that had the same consistent coaching staff like the Steelers. They hit it from the beginning. The Ravens, because they kind of already knew they were just moving in a couple pieces, whereas the Browns with a total coaching change, and there's been a lot of teams like that.
Yeah.
So going forward, I think Mayfield is a start if you're in need of a quarterback, a bye week filler. I think there's going to be games against the Jets where you might want to pick him up and ride him because I think he's under the good. We can't underestimate the Tennessee Titans are 28th against the pass.
Yeah.
But what we saw was Mayfield was being called a game manager, and against a bad passing defense, Stefanski took off the reins, which is a good sign. It means he should do that again in the future. And his play design, he had a wide open Donovan Peoples-Jones touchdown. But what you notice, go back and watch that play. What you're going to see is Kareem Hunt out of the backfield. You're going to see 3 tight ends on the field. You had 2 tight ends that appeared to be blocking for a run play. You had 1 tight end that was out open around 20 yards. The entire design of that play was to confuse them to hit that long pass, and it was perfect. Yeah. And as a football guy, I love those kind of plays.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's it, guys. We'll see you next week for the Cleveland Browns podcast.
What do you think, Chubb? Another Chubb game?
Yeah, another Chubb game. Let's say that one more. Say it again.
Kareem Hunt, right?
Yeah, he
did okay, but I don't know, man. You know,
it wasn't very efficient.
Yeah,
it didn't make sense going against that defense. I thought he'd have more opportunities in the pass game.
I
3
thought
for
they would run
24
more.
is not bad. 3 targets. He was efficient at least. Austin Hooper didn't do anything too special today.
Right.
Only 2 targets, but Landry. Landry's on the upswing. He's starting to look like the Jarvis Landry we were used to in Miami.
Yeah,
and that's nice.
Well, and again, a lot of it was if you look at his targets, there was 9 targets to him. 9 or 10. 10 targets to Jarvis, 9 targets to Higgins. Mm-hmm. Both of those are flex wide receiver 2, 3, maybe spots you can fill. I also have a feeling about Donovan Peoples-Jones. They drafted him 6th round. Urban Meyers called it the steal of the draft. He played at Michigan, never did much, but he's 6'2", runs a 4.4. Mm-hmm. He caught a touchdown and dropped another one in the opening drive. So if you're looking for that Brashard Perryman role, maybe pick him up.
All right, and how about Tennessee?
Corey Davis, wow.
Yeah, Corey Davis had a day.
Yep.
A.J. Brown, I wasn't crazy about him coming into this game. You were on him a little bit.
Yeah.
And he had a decent game.
He dropped a touchdown in the end zone. He should have caught it. He got hit hard by a Browns defense that really attacked and fumbled the ball, and Michael Pruitt actually picked it up for the score. So he actually would have had another game, a much better game. And
King Henry, he finally had a game that you were talking about. So you won for 4.
Yeah.
But they stifled him a bit, and I was surprised by that.
15 yards in the first half, and that was when they were still trying to run the ball. He actually ran more effectively in the second half, but what really happened is Tennessee said, "Oh, we're playing the Browns. We can throw against these guys. Yeah. Anybody can throw against the Browns." So Tannehill looked good.
Yeah, Tannehill looked good. I think Tannehill's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
I think as far as fantasy goes, most weeks he'll be a top 10 fantasy start, I believe. Most weeks.
I don't feel quite that strong about him. I feel like he's a lot like Mayfield. He's going to fall into that game manager role most games. But, we'll see. He does have good receivers, though. I will say that.
All right.
Yeah, let's go on.
So we'll move on to the New York Football Giants at the Seattle Seahawks, and I'm not going to wax poetic about this game, but I'll just say it was a big win and very happy. But what it means going forward is I think you definitely have to pay attention when you have a player playing this defense.
Yeah. The defense is for real. And the funny thing is both defenses look pretty good.
Yeah,
but Seattle's look good too.
Seattle's look good, but Seattle's playing a backup quarterback.
That's fair.
And
that's fair.
I'm not sure that they would look that good against they haven't looked good all year. I think they're one of the probably bottom 3 pass defense.
Giants did for the first time this year, the Giants made Russell Wilson look hesitant and not great. So
he looked like, I forgot he played somebody else early in the year, and they kind of had him flustered a bit. But Colt McCoy, blah. Your receivers didn't do much. Evan Ingram had a decent game. But what was really great was Wayne Gallman, who we talked about a lot this week.
Yeah.
135 yards on 16 carries.
I just hate that they didn't let him score the ball at the in the end zone. They gave it to Alfred Morris. That disturbs me because I think Gallman earned those reps. I mean, that guy ran hard.
He did, and Morris got you 2 touchdowns, and
Yeah.
and I'm not telling you to go start Morris next week. Gallman is still the guy.
Yeah, you know what Alfred Morris reminded me of the Rex Burkhead role in New England.
Just coming in and vulturing some touchdowns. As far as the Seahawks, it was a rough day for most of these guys. DK Metcalf had 5 catches, 80 yards in that matchup with Bradbury. He only had 4 catches.
Yeah,
his biggest catch was on another corner. I just think
that stiff arm though.
The stiff arm was nice, but
it didn't get him.
Doesn't mean anything. I just think it's something to pay attention to. If you got a wide out going against the Giants, he's going to be shadowed by Bradbury, and he's going to limit him. I think we've kind of seen the proof of that over this season and last season. Just the numbers of top end wide receivers going against Bradbury.
I did like though the fact that they kept trying to get the ball to both Tyler and DK. There was a pretty even split, and in a game against maybe the best secondary in the NFL that I've seen, they did okay. I mean, they got
I don't think going forward it's gonna you're downgrading them.
Yeah,
I think this is more about you just paying attention to when you got a guy going against this defense.
Yeah, I would if I were going into the playoffs, I would not want to play against the Giants defense.
No, yeah, especially if they're gonna have a home game. Gonna be cold weather up there.
Yeah,
the way they're playing right now, running the ball, playing tough defense, it'll be tough. And
Danny Dimes,
Jarrell Peppers looks like a difference maker too, man.
Well, we talked about scheme, right, and good coaching. And when he played with Cleveland, they never put him in the right spot. He's an undersized kind of safety, but the way the Giants are using him, it allows him to be the Jabril Peppers that ran over everybody in Michigan and was number 1 pick.
Yeah.
So,
all right, let's go on to the
Saints versus Falcons. I think we told people this was going to be close, and it was a close game. Taysom Hill, I think it's time to start saying let's start him.
Yeah, and where we were wrong, I thought Atlanta would be better against him, and they weren't. But the trend kind of carried. Like we said, that Denver thing was kind of an aberration because of the practice squad quarterback, and they just were conservative because they let him throw the ball 37 times.
Yeah, and he connected twice and almost connected another time.
No interceptions.
Yeah, he would have actually thrown more had the running game not been so effective. Alvin kind of came back to life. Looked
that was nice.
Pretty good. He still is not only 2 catches on 3 targets.
Yeah.
And what made him a number 1 back was when he was getting 8 targets.
But I think what's cool about it is all you Camaro owners now going into your playoff matchups, it removes that little bit of doubt that you had about maybe shifting him to a flex or just, maybe based on the matchup. You're not questioning him as much.
Right.
Because he got the carries here. Hill got 14. That worries me a little bit because the thing is, if they give it to Murray next week, somebody's going to lose out of these 3. So looking at that, Murray only had 5 carries this week, so that affected him.
Yeah, Murray, he didn't look great this game, honestly. He didn't separate at all. I think he's a running back that needs to be fed the ball and he gets better as he plays. It is a little bit muddy. I'm hoping that as the Saints figure out how to use Taysom, that Kamara, Murray, they all kind of elevate because they're figuring out the offense.
And Michael Thomas, 9 for 105, 11 targets. That was great. I think Cook got into the end zone, right?
Yeah, and we talked about Cook maybe being a little bit of a flex play at tight end.
And then
he got you 11 points, which is pretty good for tight end. You mentioned Russell Gage, maybe starting Russell Gage, and he had a score, looked pretty decent.
Yeah, what did he go for? 4 for 50. So, yeah.
Yeah, but he had 8 targets, though.
He had a nice day,
Yeah.
Julio Jones, 10 targets. Ridley, 10 targets. They kind of mirrored each other, Ridley and Jones. So, you got what you needed out of them. I think what's more interesting is the backfield here.
Yeah.
Where the Gurley and Ito Smith had equaled each other in carries, and Hill had 5 as
and
well. I mean,
nobody looked good, but
what's
I
going
think
on there?
part of it's the defense. I think Gurley's hurt. I think that's the main thing. Gurley's just hurt.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
he
I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah. All right.
Hayden Hurst, who you mentioned, he 1 reception for 9 yards. So
yeah, and I think we thought if Julio was out or more of a decoy, Hurst could have a good game. That didn't prove to be the point at all. So
no, it did not.
Detroit versus Chicago.
Yes.
Montgomery, I think it's time to start saying maybe they found something. You know, the change in strategies seems like it's helping their offense. He not only had a good day running, he also had 4 receptions for 39 yards, 2 touchdowns. Even Cordell Patterson had another 10 touches, 59 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah, I watched this game, and definitely Montgomery, the eye test, just looks different, the offense. And Trubisky was good, but it's kind of the same thing. That defense is terrible, and when they scheme guys open, he can throw the ball well.
Yeah.
He's going to hit him. I still don't see him as a guy that's going to anticipate throws.
Yeah, I don't think he's reading defenses as well. I think he works really well when they've schemed a guy open. He knows who he's going to, and he gets it there.
Yeah, and I may be selling him short. Like, he may be able to get to the second read and stuff like that. I just don't see him as a guy that's going to hit routes that require timing.
Yeah.
And leading the receiver to an open area. But
let me ask you a question.
What they were doing, it was perfect. And Robinson had a day.
Robinson is, to me, the best receiver who's never worked with a great quarterback. And I want to know where he goes. Like, where do you think Robinson goes next year in free agency? Do you think he sticks with Chicago, or do you think he's gone?
Oh, I heard there's people online mentioning him going somewhere next year, and he's giving a thumbs up. So I think he's probably...
Oh, no, he's ready.
He's probably out of there.
I want him to go to Houston.
I wouldn't be surprised if he went to the Giants.
Yeah, I want him to work with a great quarterback, and that's not the Giants.
That's fine. So I think that he's going to be... I don't know. Because just the way the Giants have worked the last few years, I wouldn't be surprised if they just try to draft a wide receiver. But they have the past couple... They need a bona fide number 1 is what they need.
And let me tell you what, Robinson is a bona fide number 1 to me.
And
separation, route running, big, quick, good hands, everything.
They'll be in a good cap situation. So, yeah, there's a few places he could go, but I've been thinking about him.
Adrian Peterson on the other side, he's a sure start, especially if Swift is not going to be starting. He is the guy they're going to, not carry on. 16 carries, 2 touchdowns. He didn't do much in the passing game, only had 1 target, but still, you know, if you get 2 touchdowns out of your running back, you're pretty happy.
Yeah, and about 12:50 yesterday before kickoff, I had to pick up Carry On or Peterson, choosing between the two, and I picked up Carry On.
Carry On. Yeah. What's that song? Can we get that song? Yeah. Matt Stafford looked good. No issues, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. Marvin Jones looked really good. 116 yards and a touchdown. You know, Marvin Jones is such an interesting player. I feel like...
Called an enigma.
Yeah. I feel like he is a number 1, but he only plays like a number 1 25% of the time. You know?
Well, then...
He's not a number 1. I think he's got number 1 talent, but he can't seem to get it all together. I don't know if it's a mental thing. He's got everything, 6'2", 200 pounds. He's got speed. I can't figure him out. Like, you would think that when Galladay's on the field, he would be better.
It might just be a consistency thing with him.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Hawkinson, another great game. I think it's easy to say he's probably number 3 or 4 tight end in the league right now.
Him, Kelsey, Waller. I think you could throw Tanyan in there maybe too. Tanyan's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, mostly because of touchdowns, not because of number of targets.
Yeah, and we usually rail against touchdown dependency, but Tanyan's been there. I mean, he's playing with a guy right now that's playing out of his mind. So
yeah, but I mean, TJ's 52 receptions, 600 and something yards and 5 touchdowns. He's got touchdowns and he's got number of targets. He had 9 targets yesterday. So,
Well, anything else in that game? Probably
I
not.
don't think so.
I'm trying to get my computer to work here. So.
Surprising game that Detroit won. I was a little bit surprised there. I thought the Bears would win, and I don't know why I felt that way because the Bears lost.
Oh, the Bears should have won. The Bears had that game in hand late.
But in the first game against Detroit, they should have lost, and they pulled a victory out. So maybe this is just karma.
Let me tell you something. They found a way to lose that game yesterday, and basically just write themselves out of the playoffs. So
let's go to the next game.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my stuff together over here. Give me a second.
Get your stuff together. I'll wait for a second.
All right.
So, guys, yesterday morning we did a Instagram live and a TikTok live and answered questions for about, probably about an hour total. TikTok was a lot better received. We probably answered 30 questions or so.
We have a lot more followers on TikTok. Yeah. So the kids like us.
The kids like us.
We're young at heart.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Well, we are going to be doing that a little bit more often. And what we'll try to do is alert you guys before we actually, go live, so you guys can get some questions ready, and get ready for your push here to the playoffs.
Where you want to go, Bengals, Dolphins here?
Yeah, let's go Bengals. And this will be a quick game. Don't start Brandon Allen.
No.
Giovanni Bernard. Boyd had 1 reception for a touchdown. That's it.
Yeah, I mean it was big.
It was big, but you are touchdown dependent on any of the Bengals receivers right now. On the Dolphins, Tua looked okay. Yeah. Myles Gaskins looked good, right? 4.3 yards, 90 yards.
21 carries. That's the big number for me, and then
2 receptions, 51 yards.
We had a question about Gesicki, remember? And
we said start him.
He had a good game, 9 for 88 and a touchdown.
And
love that, 11 targets. So
yeah,
I would like to go back, maybe do that this week and see how much he was targeted the other games that Tua played. And maybe there's a correlation there. But
yeah, could be. But as far as Miami going forward, maybe you start Gaskins, maybe you start Gesicki, maybe you start Parker. That's really about it.
Yeah.
To me, I think. Yeah. All right, we're going to go to Jaguars-Vikings. Listen, the Jaguars are a good team.
They have a good coach. Doug Marrone has been solid. They had a little bit of issues there with Tom Coughlin getting along with the relationship with some of those players for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I think that soured things.
They traded the majority of their good players, and they have been in every game. This is another game where they could have won at the end. Should have won, maybe.
Well, I think if they were getting, they need a QB.
And do you think Minshew is that QB? Because they don't think so, because I think they're...
Well, yeah, it's telling that they don't think so. I don't feel like we've seen enough, but they may have.
Yeah. Running backs, Cook was Cook. Robinson was Robinson. Keep starting these guys.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, we told you guys it's time to take him seriously. Time to maybe use him as a flex quarterback. Another 3 touchdown, 300-yard performance. I think he was in the top 10 for QBs again this week. Yeah, he was actually 5th in our league. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where he's lived the last 5 weeks.
I think the emergence of Justin Jefferson has changed that offense.
I tell you what,
they didn't miss a beat with Stephon Diggs being gone.
No, you mean when they traded him?
Yeah, I'm saying. Jefferson is.
He threw a pass yesterday to Jefferson that he should not have thrown.
Yeah, I seen it.
Yeah, should not have thrown, and yet Jefferson made him look good. And Adam Thielen looked pretty good too.
Adam Thielen looked good. Chenault had 2 carries for 30 yards, so maybe they're going to get him involved more with some power sweeps and stuff like that.
I tell you what I liked. There was Amir Abdullah sighting yesterday.
Oh,
Amir Abdullah. I didn't even realize he's still in the league.
Roster. Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, he had 2 rushes and a reception. So,
And we mentioned Tyler Eifert a couple weeks ago, and he's coming on a little bit. I mean, he's not a top 5 tight end or anything like that, but I feel like he's a serviceable tight end to start if you need somebody in a pinch. He got 6 for 45, and easily could punch a touchdown in any game.
Yeah, the guy that I'm interested in is Colin Johnson. Last 2 games,
The rookie.
Yeah, last 2 games he's had a good target share, 4 receptions in each game. He could be developing into somebody who maybe is a flex 3 wide receiver. I liked it because Shark was in the game and had 7 targets, but right below him was Colin Johnson with 6. So
yeah,
maybe pick him up in a deep league.
Yeah. You got anything else on that? I think what I will say is that the Vikings, as a team, kind of up and down, but I think going into the playoff stretch here, they're going to be a nice team to target.
Yeah.
To play your guys that are in those.
Yeah.
On that roster.
Yep.
We go to Las Vegas at the Jets.
Okay, single stupidest defensive
call
I've ever seen.
That. And there's a guy with some Browns
Greg
blood
Williams.
in him.
Yeah. This is Greg Williams. He pulls this crap all the time. I've never seen a team go into a 0.
Yeah.
He rushed 7 guys. 7 guys.
Ridiculous.
Now, conversely, if he would have got it, like if he would have got to the quarterback, everybody would have been like, "Oh, it's amazing."
Yeah.
But like when I first saw it, I thought, are the Jets tanking? Like, is this like their attempt to lose so they can draft Trevor Lawrence?
It seems that way, but who does he have any guarantee he's going to be there next year?
Let me tell you what, Greg Williams is an ego-driven guy, and that's what it's about. He's always been that way. He was that way with the Browns. Yeah.
Well, I'll say that the Jets actually showed some life on offense. And Darnold had a decent day. And I don't think you're going to rush to start him.
Ty Johnson looked great.
Ty Johnson.
Yeah.
Who, as I wanted to talk about him, a 4.7 yard average, 22 carries, over 100 yards, only 2 receptions. But, I mean, if you're looking for somebody, we were talking about Gore, maybe they'll start to work this kid in more just because, he may have a future with the team.
I mean, it's 5.5 yard average for the season. So he looks like he has some talent. I almost wonder why we didn't see him earlier. I can't figure out Gase.
Bad coaching.
He's an idiot.
But he's in there now. If he's going to be available on your waiver wire this week, so go grab him.
Yeah.
And maybe he's a guy that can help you win.
Booker had a okay game, nothing great.
He got the volume that we were talking about.
He got the volume. He just didn't do much with it. Yeah. Darren Waller had a game of games.
Oh, yes.
Ruggs was good because of the last touchdown, last second Hail Mary.
Yeah. Hunter Renfrow had a decent game, who you talked about.
Yeah, 6 targets.
Aguilar.
Yeah.
Aguilar had 11 targets, but only caught 4 of them. So
look
not
at
crazy
Waller
about
had
that.
17 targets.
Let me tell you something. Waller helped me crush the guy with the best record in our league right now, Mr. Mark.
Yeah. He's talked some trash, Mark, doesn't he?
He's a good trash talker. I like talking trash on him, but we're neighbors, so he doubled me up a couple weeks ago.
Excuse
me. So it was nice.
Mark, what'd you do?
He beat me by double the amount of points.
So we're going to have Mark on our show here in a couple of weeks, I think. Mark's an interesting fellow. You guys will like
to talk
to him. So.
Yeah, he likes to talk a little bit.
All right.
But we put a beating on him this week.
Good. He needed a little humbling.
Yeah.
So let's go to the Colts Texans. Boy, Deshaun Watson took this loss hard. I spoke his name, said he was a quarterback you had to start, and then he had his worst game of the season, probably. Yeah. Well, second worst. Still had 340 yards.
Midas touch, or
I
think something more apropos.
We were about 65% in our picks this week, though. I'm going to tell you that because I was keeping track. So, but he didn't look great this week. You mentioned David Johnson, and he did well.
Who I was banging the table for was Kiki Cute, whatever his name is. 8 receptions, 141 yards, and he out targeted everybody, including Brandon Cooks, and he really took on that Will Fuller role. And I think if you listened to me last week and you picked him up, you're in a good spot going forward because
it looks like he's going to be getting a healthy share of targets. Cooks is Cooks. He's still got 8 targets. He just, again, he's fitting that slot role where Kute is kind of the longer ball there.
And we're going to have to mention Chad Hansen, too, who was not on my radar, but 5 receptions, 101 yards on 7 targets. So he was right there with these guys. And, I expect the Texans to be in a lot of games like this where they're going to be in the game and they're going to be trailing. So they'll be tossing the ball around.
Defense is not great. And, Deshaun, we were joking around about him, but he still finished top 15. So he's still a good quarterback.
Yeah, he got you there. He just didn't have a Deshaun.
Let me tell you what.
Day.
Are we seeing the last 3 games that Jonathan Taylor started? He has looked like the difference maker at running back we thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
91 yards, 7-yard average running. He had 3 targets, caught all of them, 44 yards and a touchdown. I think he's kind of finding his way. There is a space for Hines.
Yes, there is.
But Hines is going to be touchdown dependent, I think, whereas Taylor is going to be the guy who's probably going to have a much higher floor.
Yeah, and you know what? I think Hines still factors in the passing game. But if the trend of the last couple, here's what's surprising to me is that T.Y. Hilton is starting to look like T.Y. Hilton. And I have him in a league where I was one of our contract leagues where I'm paying him a pretty decent amount. And, I've been this close to cutting him probably about 4 or 5 times this year. And I just held on to him saying, you know what? If he turns back into T.Y. Hilton, I got a guy that's kind of been unusable all year that might be a boom. And last week, he had a good week. I think he had over 100 yards last week, maybe 5-6 catches and a touchdown. And this week, 8 catches, 110 yards and a touchdown.
Hey, you know what?
11 targets. So they're finally starting. Rivers is finally starting to get some chemistry going with him.
Hey, we talked about it with the Browns missing those 4 games. This is really like game 8 in the season.
Yeah.
If you look at the Colts, last 4 weeks, they've scored 26, 31, 34, and 26. So they're starting to get their offense moving, and I think that's probably a large part of,
his resurgence. Yeah. So happy. I'm very, very encouraged by that because
if you're happy, we're happy.
Yeah.
Rams, Cardinals. Man,
what did I tell you? I told you I don't think the Cardinals are a good team. They're 1-4 in their last 5 games with a Hail Mary.
Yeah,
that won that game.
Yeah,
Kyler Murray. I think
people are figuring him out.
People are figuring him out, and he's going. Listen, he
still had a good game.
He had a good game, I know, but Hopkins. I don't know if you had Hopkins. These guys, they're having okay games, but what you drafted Hopkins as, or if you paid for him in a dynasty league, he's not producing the way you want him to, or even Murray. He had a decent game, but he's fallen off from what he was early in the season.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think on the other side though, we have to kind of give a little bit of props to Kenyon Drake. Again, a good performance. 3 targets, caught 2. Ran a 4.9 yard average, and scored a touchdown. He only had 10 touches, and that was because they got behind. They had to start throwing. So, Goff, boy, he won the game. The Rams are 8-4, and he just doesn't look impressive. Always doing it, but he won the game. I do think it's time to start saying that Cam Akers
is the guy.
He's the guy
He's
going
getting
forward.
The goal line carries as well.
Well, and he scored once, and should have scored another one.
Again. Yeah,
should have scored another one.
3 carries?
Yeah, and it was
a great defensive stand.
That's it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to see him getting the opportunities. You feel confident about that. We said we felt good about Woods going up against Patrick Peterson, and he didn't score a touchdown, but 10 receptions for 85 yards. I'll take that.
Going to be happy.
All day.
You're talking, that's 18 points. Cooper Kupp actually looked more impressive in fewer receptions. But again, he had 8 receptions, 73 yards. I'm going to be okay with that.
And Gerald Everett had another nice day. 6 for a tight end.
If they, would be more consistent with him or Higbee, one of those two, I think we'd have like a top, 3 or 4 tight end in the league. Yeah.
But with Higbee, yeah, he has the talent. And just before we move on from this game, just that Cardinals, they're going up against that Giants defense next week, so I don't think they're in for a good week. No bias.
So we got about 3 more games to cover. Everybody's favorite, and they performed the trifecta. Finally, the Eagles benched Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
And, boy, he looked pissed about it.
I don't think he's going to start next week.
No.
I watched a lot of that Hurts highlight package.
Yeah.
And he had, the late interception, which was just, not seeing the coverage.
Yeah. Well, not only that, he's trying to get him back in the game.
But I tell you what, he made some nice throws.
The best throw of that game by Philadelphia was made by Hurts.
Well, the 2 best throws. Yeah. I mean, he had the 2. He looked good for a guy that hasn't played all year.
Yeah. And they let him
extending
run.
the play, running. He, and Wentz could run, but he's a little bit younger, a little bit faster.
Yeah. It's a different kind of
more
runner.
Instinctual.
Yeah.
He looked good, especially with that line playing as bad as the. The problem with Wentz watching that game is he's feeling the pressure and he seems to just crumble in the pocket, and
and we're starting to hear that the team doesn't like him. And
Yeah.
he's kind of somebody who you can't teach.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense. I wondered why when he got benched for Foles, the team rallied around Foles.
That
and
makes sense.
The team seemed to get...
Well, he didn't got benched. He got
hurt,
injured,
yeah. But I think like when he got benched yesterday, the team seemed to kind of like pick up a little bit.
Miles Sanders, oh, man.
Yeah.
Man, boy, oh, boy.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with this guy. Maybe...
I'm not starting him if I have any other option.
I mean, if they start Hurts, do you think maybe you give him another shot?
So, generally speaking, when a running quarterback is there, they have to fixate on the running quarterback, which should open the lanes for a good running back.
If they start Hurts, I think if they decide today, or we hear later today, that Hurts is the starter, I think Peterson's putting in an RPO package.
Yeah, well, and I think Sanders probably still only gets 10 touches, but I think he probably gets 60 yards on those 10 touches and maybe gets a score.
Yeah. All right. And then
Goddard, we talked about. And then Rager, he had some chemistry with Jalen. So.
And he has some speed, Rager.
We don't have to talk about the Packers, right? We said you're starting Rodgers. We said you're starting Aaron Jones. We said you're starting Adams, and they all did great. Robert Tonyan, like you said, he had 5 targets, caught 4, got a touchdown. He's at 8 touchdowns for the year, and he's been injured for 3 games.
Yeah.
So, he seems like he's a decent option there.
All right, and now we'll just talk about the Patriots because the Chargers didn't play.
Yeah.
Did they show up? Were they there?
We said that we thought Belichick was going to teach the young quarterback a welcome to the NFL.
Yeah.
And he did. Air Bear didn't look lost.
No, but
he's a good quarterback. But they schemed enough to control him. Damian Harris, man, freaking let this guy score.
Let's just talk about this offense for the Patriots.
Yeah, but they had 2 special team score, right?
No, I'm saying let's take those out. They scored 30 points and their quarterback threw for. I just find it interesting the game plan.
69 yards. Cam Newton threw for 69 yards.
But this was the game plan.
Yeah,
that's it's just. I mean, that they can do this. You got 16 carries for Harris, 14 for Cam Newton. Listen, I'll sign up for Cam Newton as my quarterback all day if he's going to get 10 carries a game. He's going to fall into the end zone. Did he score? Yeah, he scored twice. 2 rushing TDs.
Yeah,
I watched that.
And the terrible thing is he took those freaking 2 away from Harris. Harris ran.
Not terrible for me.
No, but I'm saying Harris ran with. I mean, Harris is a good running back.
He looked good. Yeah.
I mean, he's no joke.
And Sony Michel got in involved this week more so than last week. I think we got to figure out.
I mean, Cam Newton was the 9th best quarterback last week, and he threw for 69 yards. Yeah. And he was the 9th best. You know, you're going to take that.
The thing so maybe it's coming into crystal clear view now that the main runners are Cam Newton and maybe Damian Harris.
I mean, Damian Harris, 5.1 yards average for the year, 641 yards, and didn't play the first 5 games.
Yeah.
I think it was first 4 games.
But last week you had James White more involved. That's the only thing that bothers me with this team, but I think we got to kind of focus on.
James
I think
White,
it's Harris and Newton.
James White dropped 1 touchdown. One reception, and looked terrible in a run that he actually dropped the pitch. And both times, if you could have seen Belichick's face, it's obvious that White's in the doghouse.
Yeah?
Yeah. The guy I like is Gunnar Olszewski.
Well, that's a great name.
It is. Yeah. And he only had 1 reception, 38 yards, and a touchdown. He is... listen, he played at Bemidji State. Is that even in America? Bemidji State.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
It's his 2nd season, but man, the guy's quick as heck. He had
so this is just a man crush thing because he had 1 catch. I know it was a touchdown.
Yeah, but he ran the kickoff return in for a touchdown.
Oh, see. Oh, okay. Yeah, I did see that.
The guy's, he's quick. So
yeah, he is quick.
And I felt like they put him in the offense in a special package to thank him for that. And he performed. He scored a touchdown, looked great. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe you keep an eye on him.
Following the great tradition of white wide receivers in New England.
Keenan Allen and Mike Williams both were kind of held in check. It was a bad day.
Hey, just chalk this up as the Chargers play. Just forget about it. This is in the upside down this week, and then you come back next week with the Chargers.
You know what this is? This is Belichick. You hate him, but he's a great coach.
Yeah.
So,
all right, let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. And we talked about this.
Everything that we said.
Mostly that I said, but yeah.
I think it was me.
You agreed.
I said that the worst case would be they would get up and that would be it. They didn't get up.
No.
But they played to win the game but not to excel.
I think, so we did say that, but I think what really happened is, because I don't know how much of the game you watched, but it was more consistent with what we said about the first game, was that the Chiefs had a defensive touchdown.
Yeah.
They had a special teams touchdown, and they kind of inflated the game. And if you look at it, Broncos scored 16 in that game, and the Chiefs, I think, scored 42. So you take those 2 touchdowns away, it's kind of the same game. They played them close. They played them tough.
I mean, Denver's got a good defense.
Yeah, Denver tightened up in the red zone and stopped them a bunch. Le'Veon Bell did get the bulk of the carries. We talked about that. But, I mean, and he, you know what? Honestly, his average wasn't good, but he looked good. He looked better than he has for the year up until this point.
Where was Edwards? He didn't get a touch.
Did he play?
But he wasn't injured.
Well, he had the illness that we talked about. I don't know if he was out because I turned on the game and I didn't see him on the film. So maybe he was.
I don't think he was the illness. It was Swift that had the illness.
No. Edwards-Helaire had an illness. He didn't practice Thursday, Friday.
There you go.
But he was active. So going into Saturday, he was active for the game.
Yeah.
But he didn't practice Thursday, Friday. So that's why I was saying you might look where he will get less touches because he didn't practice the end of the week. So now I don't know if he didn't. I don't know if he didn't play a snap or we'd have to go look at snap counts. But yeah, they got touches and they were okay. But they were kind of held in check along the whole offense, basically besides Kelsey.
I don't know how to feel about Kansas City. I got to be honest with you. I think the single best team in the AFC right now is the Steelers. I think that they're better defensively than the Chiefs. And when they get moving offensively and it takes James Conner to be James Conner, I think they're not as good, but they're close. They're the team that's as close.
I think the Chiefs, I don't think they're as good as they were last year.
Yeah.
I think it's just consistency. Last year they had like 1 or 2 games where they looked like this. I think they had that game they lost to Detroit early in the season last year, and then they had another game late in the season. They looked like that. But for the most part, they looked like the team that won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But let's not forget they were down in all 3 of those playoff games. They should have. The Texans couldn't keep their foot on their neck.
They had a good run.
They're not invincible. They're not an invincible team. They can be beat in the playoffs. And we're just talking football now. But yeah, I mean,
I think Melvin Gordon, he split the carries with Lindsey, but looked so much better. I don't even know why Lindsey gets as many touches as he does.
I disagree with you, but
I mean, he had an 8.7 yard average, 15 carries, 131 yards.
yes.
He had 1 for 65. You take that away, he still had 70 yards on 14 carries.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not going to disagree with you as far as this game. I think for the scope of the season that Lindsey's been a better runner, I think. But whatever. Noah Fant.
Yeah, Noah Fant. He's good.
He was the only guy. Those are the only 2 guys we really cared about in this game, Fant and Patrick.
Well, I think Patrick, if he's available in your league and you need to stash a wide receiver with high upside, I think you maybe pick him up.
And he had that second touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, but he really worked.
No, he looks good.
Yeah, it was nice.
You know, the thing about him is 6'4", 212 pounds. He's got all the tools, looks to be quick enough, and he's a good route runner.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Phil?
Yeah.
Phil and I are going to go to Animal Kingdom next Sunday.
Yeah, we are.
Because we're BFFs now, right?
Say that again?
BFFs.
Yeah.
We hope you guys have a good week. We would love to hear from you guys. If you guys get on TikTok, Instagram, send us questions. We'll answer it, even to 2 a.m. I know you were doing
we
that
answered
tonight.
them. Yeah.
Spoke to a guy from
interaction
Germany.
is great. We love doing it. We appreciate the questions and the support. Just keep it up, and we'll keep giving you what you need.
Yeah. Ultimate Fantasy Locker Room. You can find us on everything. And I talked to a guy from Germany who was a Browns fan. It was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
So it was exciting.
Well, good for you.
We're everywhere. Hey, guys, have a good week.
It's like we holding on to what he's hating. Lacking luster from the father, cause there's no relation. I'm told to tell you about him, word from God is not mistaken. That's why his name is always dropped in every conversation. I've been sold to his will hold, but falling short upon his glory, but let his will roll. Stand, they say I'm crazy, think I'm lunatic. They say my head's up in